श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे बद्री नारायण वासुदेवा, हे बद्री नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे बद्री नारायण वासुदेवा, हे बद्री नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे लक्ष्मी नारायण वासुदेवा, हे लक्ष्मी नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे लक्ष्मी नारायण वासुदेवा, हे लक्ष्मी नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे राम नारायण वासुदेवा, हे श्याम 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 नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी,
देवा, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे बद्री नारायण वासुदेवा, वासुदेवा हे बद्रीनारायण वासुदेवा
हे बद्रीनारायण वासुदेव हे बद्रीनारायण वासुदेव
हे बद्रीनारायण वासुदेवा हे बद्रीनारायण वासुदेवा
हे बद्रीनारायण वासुदेव हे बद्रीनारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण
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 सूर्य नारायण 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 नारायण नारायण
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण
श्रीमन्नारायण 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 नारायण नारायण। बोलिए सर्वेश्वर भगवान की जय। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
Welcome to Satsang, everyone. We've had some questions come in advance. I'll start, as always, with one or two of those and then open it up to any question that anyone here may have. How do we handle betrayal, especially if we've been betrayed by someone we trusted and even loved? So, betrayal is always hard, but it's especially hard when it's someone who we really trusted. Being, ripped off by the lady at the grocery store who you don't even know, or having, the guy at the gas station give you half a tank of gas instead of a full tank of gas or something. It's annoying, but it's not the stuff that we become sleepless at night because of. It tends to bother us for, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and then it's over. You're like, oh, Jello, okay, it happened. Even if we've been betrayed on a deeper level, if it's someone we don't know, somebody sold us something that they knew was defective. You went to a store and they swindled you. Again, you'd be annoyed. You'd go back, you'd try to get your money back. If it was a big enough case, you might even take them to court. You could do all kinds of things to rectify it. But chances are it wouldn't keep you awake at night. It wouldn't keep you from being able to properly digest your food and enjoy your life. It wouldn't thwart your life the way that when we've been hurt by someone we knew, trusted, even loved, does. When that betrayal comes, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a parent, whether it's a child, whether it's a close friend, a sibling, it hurts in such a deep way because there's a part of us, a very deep part of us that up until the moment of the betrayal has actually been energetically intertwined with that person. And so it's as bad as losing that person. It's just like being abandoned or left. But on some levels, it's actually even worse. Because it feels on many levels like they've purposely done something to hurt you. Now, when you think about it, there's a couple of different reasons why people we know and trust and love betray us. And our way of dealing with it is going to vary based on the situation. So one option is a situation where it wasn't really about us. We just ended up kind of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, sort of collateral damage. The person we loved, trusted, was simply trying to get something for themselves. Whether you went into business with a friend or you went into business with a family member and they cheated you and betrayed you. It wasn't that they were trying to hurt you, it was just that they got greedy. They wanted more money, they wanted more profit, they wanted more power. They didn't actually think, how can I harm my loved one or my sibling. But instead they thought, how can I get more? So our heart became just collateral damage in their greed. It's the same type of thing that happens in a relationship. Someone cheats on the other one, has an affair. Again, it's not about harming the spouse. Rather, it's about being overcome by lust, by passion. The feelings of the one you've hurt, again, it's more collateral damage. It's not so much that the offending spouse was thinking, how can I really hurt my husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend? Instead, they become just slaves. Slaves to physical desire, slaves to lust. And they do something that's stupid and harmful and painful. But they weren't trying to harm or pain you. They just were acting only on the basis of their own personal sensual pleasures. In those cases, the way, excuse me, the way really to think about it is to remember it's not about you. It's really not about you. Again, your heart became collateral damage here. The person you trusted, the person you loved, was clearly not worthy of the trust you put in them because they were such a slave to their own greed or to their own lust or to their own whatever it was that led them to make a really bad decision that hurt you. Wasn't about us. It was all about them and all about their own inability to move through the world intelligently in a way that really takes consequences into thought, that really thinks about, all right, what's going to be the ripple impact of that? People who harm their loved ones don't think about it. Usually what they think is, oh, they'll never know. Typically, that's what it's about. They'll never know that I've cheated them. They'll never know that I've had an affair. They'll never know that I've siphoned off this money. They'll never know. Most people who betray in that way actually are expecting that you'll never find out. So it's really not about you. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but it just means to realize this is all about them. Nothing about you. However, of course, like with the example that I always give on this about walking through the park and getting bit by the mad dog, right? You walk through the wrong part of the park at the wrong time and a mad dog rushes out and bites you. Well, the dog didn't wake up that morning and say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to lie in wait for that nice lady. And then I'm going to just take a chunk out of her leg. The dog is sick. When we say mad dog, we don't mean mad like angry. Mad refers to the dog literally being sick with rabies. That illness is what leads the dog to attack. In the same way, the people we love who betray us in that way, think of them as sick. Sick with greed, sick with lust, sick as a slave to their desires. Sick with so little internal grounding and connection that they're willing to put something as important as your relationship on the line just for some more money, just for some more power, just for a few minutes or hours of sensual pleasure. It means it's someone with no foundation, no grounding at all. So like with the mad dog, you're not going to chase it down the street to bite it back. You're not going to need to go into therapy because the dog bit you. You're going to take care of your wound. and move on with your life. And you're going to be smart enough to know that dog is sick. Therefore, I'm not going to take that route through the park anymore. Because letting go what someone has done does not mean I let go of my common sense with it. So forgiving them and moving on doesn't mean I allow myself to be taken advantage of again. I use my intelligence. I protect myself. I may absolutely forgive them. I should forgive them. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to trust them again. It depends on the relationship. But in either case, I'm going to let go. I'm going to be able to move on. But in the other situation, we have a situation where someone really does something that is just about us. Excuse me. And that really is a situation where someone, and it always is someone we know. People who we don't know never go out of their way to hurt us. It's always someone we know. And it's typically someone with whom we've had a very close relationship. We were married to them. We were dating for a while. We were best friends. My dad is a divorce attorney and spends all day long just helping couples get divorced. And when I was growing up, he would regale us at home over dinner. Of course, confidentiality, he's never allowed to give anybody's names or anything like that. But he'd regale us over dinner with stories of what divorcing spouses would do to each other for no purpose at all other than to harm each other. Only result being just to cause the other one pain. No benefit to themselves, just to cause pain to the other. My favorite example of this is a couple that was getting divorced and they'd been married for decades. And when you're married to someone or close with them for a long time, you tend to come to know what type of food they like, what type of food they don't like. And this husband, for whatever reason, hated Brussels sprouts. It was this vegetable. We don't even have them in India, but it's this vegetable. It's kind of like bund gobi, but it's not exactly like bund gobi. But anyway, but it's a vegetable that has it's very good for you, but it's got a very, very strong smell. And for whatever reason, this man hated Brussels sprouts. And he and his wife go through this very messy divorce, and he gets the house. She's irate, as you can imagine. And he goes away one weekend, and she, of course, still had a key to the house. And he comes back from the weekend, and he was some big professional with like a closet full of super, super expensive business suits and sports coats and, And he comes back from his weekend out to find that his wife had spent the weekend cooking Brussels sprouts in the house, steaming them up in the house, and filled the coat pockets of all of the jackets in the closet with handfuls of steamed Brussels sprouts. Okay, so I tell the story only to, and it's a true story, only to illustrate the degree to which people who feel hurt will go, and I've got dozens of these, will go for no benefit of their own. Bulky, it was an entire waste of the woman's weekend. Buying food, cooking food, no one's going to eat it, simply to upset her husband. Simply knowing that he's going to come home and he's going to find his pockets full of steamed, smelly Brussels sprouts and is going to be angry. these things happen. People who feel they've been injured. And in breakups, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a long-term romantic relationship, sometimes even with friends, but less frequently. Typically, romantic relationships tend to be the ones that bring about this sort of passion in feelings of being betrayed. But with close friends, again, it does happen sometimes. When someone feels hurt, even if it's something as natural as they got a divorce, nonetheless, when someone feels hurt, they suddenly find all the energy, all the time, all the creativity. I mean, literally, you would not imagine these stories. All the creativity. Another woman who had to leave the house. The husband was in the house with his new girlfriend, and they noticed they had this incredible, horrible ant infestation. And they called in all the exterminators. They did everything. Nothing could get rid of the ants. And over a period of months, they spent tons of money. Tons of experts came in doing everything. Nothing would get rid of the ants. And only many, many, many months later, after literally being unable to live in their own home because it was so full of ants, they discovered that the wife, before she left the house, had literally pulled up, or had someone help her pull up, every single one of the wooden floorboards of the house. The house had beautiful, expensive wooden floors. Had pulled up every wooden floorboard and smeared honey underneath, and had put back and had re-hammered in the wooden floorboards. So again, stories only for the sake of re-remembering that it's not the lashing out in anger. It's not the, you say something that hurts me, so I say something back. It's the absolutely cold, calculated, creative, planned, time-intensive ways that we go about hurting people. And what to do when you're on the receiving end of that? What to do when you feel really betrayed by someone? Okay, fine, you broke up. It wasn't working out. They weren't the right person. Whether, again, it was romance or it was business or whatever it may be. And now suddenly here's this person who seems absolutely bent on doing nothing other than destroying you for no benefit of their own. Whether it's your suit jackets, whether it's the floorboards of your house, whether it's smearing your name across social media, whether it's, getting you in trouble unnecessarily for nothing you've done with government authorities, whether it's telling your friends lies about you, whatever it may be. What to do about that? Well, again, the first and most important thing is to remember that, as in the first case, these people are sick. Like the mad dog. But they're sick with their own ego anger. Instead of processing pain as pain, yeah, divorces hurt, breakups hurt, being told by someone you expected to spend the rest of your life with, I'm sorry, it's over, it hurts a lot. And that's natural. But instead of processing the pain honestly, instead of grieving honestly for what that person has lost, their ego instead has taken it over with a vengeance and has become on the offensive. I'll show you. I'll make you wish you never left me. As though somehow ruining your life is going to make you wish that you were still with me. But they're not thinking that clearly. And so from our side, as the one who gets hurt, again, it's most important to just remember, they're sick. They're literally sick with their own ego. They're sick with anger. They're sick with pain that they're not processing. And so what to do? Well, first of all, again, remember, it's not about you. I know it seems about you, because here is this person doing things just to hurt you. But nonetheless, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about the emptiness they are feeling inside. They had had a vision that you were going to be the answer to their emptiness. And as we talk in here so frequently, no one is the answer to anyone else's emptiness. No job I have, no item of clothing I buy, no salary, no car, no title, no name or fame, and no relationship can fill an emptiness that exists inside of me. The only thing that can fill that is myself. And if I'm looking to someone in a relationship to be the other half of my half, instead of half and half becomes one, will become half times half becomes a quarter. We literally will both lose. Because we're needing so much from each other. We're each feeling so empty that we suffocate each other and we suffocate a relationship. And this is why it's so important to realize that the wholeness is within myself. If I as whole come together with you as whole, only then can we really become one. It's not like math where half plus half equals 1. In love, 1 plus 1 is 1, not half and half. And so what it means is that that person was coming into this as half and became so dependent upon you to fill them that they have no inner ability to fill themselves. So they deserve our compassion. They deserve our prayers. And we certainly have to do everything we can do to protect ourselves. Like I would hope both of those men got the locks changed. You do what you can do to protect yourself. Like you don't walk through that part of the park while the mad dog is still there. But you also don't lose yourself. You don't allow that person to steal you from you, because that's what they want. They feel empty and their only goal is you should also feel empty. It's like that saying, misery loves company. If I'm miserable in some very warped, very unintelligent, unskilled, unproperly thought out way, I believe that somehow by making you miserable, I'm going to feel better. It never works, of course. But if we're on the receiving end of that, it takes a lot for us to keep ourselves from feeling miserable. And it's even more important that you don't. Because just because that other person feels empty doesn't mean that they should be able to steal you from you. They may have figured out how to steal your money. They may have figured out how to smear your name online. They may have figured out how to fill your house with ants or your clothes with Brussels sprouts or whatever it may be. But at least don't let them steal you from you. Pray for them. Have compassion for them. And stay grounded and anchored in you. not allowing their sickness to impact you. You know, if you get bit by the mad dog with rabies and you go to the hospital to get the wound sewed up, what else are they going to do? Give you a shot. Yeah, exactly. Why? So you don't get rabies. Otherwise, that dog's sickness through the bite is going to kill you. Literally. And so when you go to the hospital, they'll bandage your leg or bandage your arm or wherever the dog bit, and they're going to give you a rabies shot. In the same way, you need to give yourself, literally, that personal inoculation against the illness that person has. They're sick, okay, like the dog is sick. But to allow them through their bite to also kill you? Well, that's silly. Nobody would go into the hospital and say, sure, bandage my leg, but don't give me the shot. I'm gonna just let myself die like the dog. The dog bit me, so I might as well just give up my life. Die a slow, painful death. Nobody would do that. Everyone would say, yeah, give me the shot immediately. Because we understand. So if someone does this to you in your life in the same way, realize you need to do whatever you need to do to give yourself that metaphoric rabies shot and make sure that their sickness doesn't steal your life. So with that, before taking any of the other questions in advance, I'm happy to open it up if there are any questions here. Yeah.
I'd like to know how one reconciles a situation where there's conflict between religions. So, for example, if there's a couple who married now, there's a one
Is that what you said when you began? Okay. So you began with talking about conflict between couples of different religions. But then the example you gave was a couple where one becomes a vegetarian. And that's definitely not a religion, but I'm going to I mention it because it happens to be a personal passion of mine, so I will take that separately. But I want to take the vegetarian issue as a separate issue to the religion issue. Because in religions, there really is no right or wrong. There's no better or worse. All religions, certainly at their core, at the purest way as given by their prophet, by their holy book, all religions are beautiful. And they actually speak to the same truth. You know, we have a teaching in the Hindu tradition that says, the truth is one, but the sages call it by different names. So when you really get to the fundamental level of truth, sure, different religions are going to use different languages, different ways, different books, but we're giving the same fundamental message. Now, in a relationship, nonetheless, there are logistic issues. Do we celebrate the holidays of my religion, or do we celebrate the holidays of your religion? Well, this is something that you have to work out. Some couples celebrate both. Some make a decision that they're going to do one. In some couples, one person converts. And again, there really isn't a right way or a wrong way. The only wrong way is if one forces the other to abandon their religion. That's the only wrong way to handle that situation. Otherwise, whatever works for the couple, as long as when they have children, the children are given the teaching, not that dad's way is better than mom's or mom's is better than dad's, but that they simply have different choices. Dad plays tennis, mom does yoga. Dad is Christian, mom is Hindu. You know, not to make light of it, but just in a way that there's obviously no value judgment between tennis and yoga. In the same way, we're not going to make a value judgment and say this is better or worse. They're just different. Maybe you choose to allow the child to decide. A lot of couples I know do when the children get older. My advice would be expose them to the best of both. Take them to mandir, take them to mosque, take them to church. Help them understand God is one. Here's how people in mosque pray to God. Here's how people in mandirs pray to God. Here's how people in synagogue pray to God. Here's how people in church pray to God. Here's how people in gurdwaras pray to God. Why not? We need more people in the world, I think, who grow up knowing that. And with the ability as they grow to decide, all right, this feels good to me. But with no pressure at all of this is better than that. But it's something in my humble suggestion, because I've seen this happen many, many times in many couples. My humble suggestion is work these things out before you get married. A lot of times in the passion of love, you get people of different religions who come together, and we see it a lot, and who say, you know, I don't know why my parents say I have to marry someone of my religion. If God is in everyone, why does it matter? And young love is beautiful. And they say, can't love overcome everything? And we always say, yes, it can. And marriage is hard enough. Even if you marry someone of exactly your culture, exactly your religion, exactly your language, exactly all of that, you still have got your share of lots of problems. When you begin a marriage with an entirely different religion, and especially if that religion has a whole different culture that goes along with it, you're just simply giving yourself a little bit of an extra handicap to begin with. Doesn't mean don't do it. Doesn't mean it won't work. But what it means is you have to be aware of that. And my advice is always, have a conversation before you get engaged. And a conversation should go like this. Well, God, you know, honey, we're going to have children. Do you have a feeling about whether these children are going to go to church or a mosque or synagogue or mandir? How do you feel about celebrating the holidays of my religion in our house? See what they say. How do you feel about what religion we're going to raise our children? Because it's always better to plan things in advance. Puja Swamiji always says failing to plan is planning to fail. But also because it'll give you a clue into really how open-minded that person is. A lot of people say, well, yeah, we're different religions, but that's okay because he or she is really open-minded. And so, well, that's great. Have the conversation. Have the conversation about how they envision raising their children. Because you really should know these things before you take vows of marriage. When you talk about vegetarianism, there really is a right answer. Not a right answer from a religious perspective. A right answer from a human rights perspective. A right answer from an environmental preservation perspective. A right answer from a poverty perspective. A right answer from a refugees and future perspective. The meat industry, animal agriculture, so I'm not talking about a guy on a dock with a fishing pole, or somebody who walks into the forest with a bow and arrow to hunt a deer and bring it back and feed the village for a month. But the animals that are raised to be hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken McNuggets, that's an industry. And that industry is the single greatest contributor to global warming. These are United Nations statistics. Single greatest contributor to global warming. Into the production of 1 pound of beef is 16 times the amount of grain that goes into the production of a pound of pasta or rice. So basically the ratio looks like this. If I eat vegetarian, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 pound of rice, 1 pound of wheat gets me a pound of rice, because the animal digests most of it. Animals live for years before we kill them. The overwhelming majority of what they eat is digested. It doesn't become the fat that I eat. So every time you choose meat over vegetarian, you are literally saying, I deserve the food of 15 other people. Tens of thousands of children die of starvation every single day. I don't know any religion that says that's okay. I don't know any religious book that says, thou shalt take the food of 15 starving children. I don't know any religion that says, thou shalt decimate the earth. Thou shalt cut down my trees. There's no religion that says that. And so it's not a religious issue. It's an issue simply of, do I believe that starving people have the right to have food? Do I believe that future generations have the right to have water? The amount of water that goes into the production of a pound of beef is the amount of water you use in bathing for 6 months, assuming you bathe every day. And assuming that you bathe from a shower, not from a bucket. If you don't bathe every day or you bathe from a bucket, it's going to be more like a year or a year and a half. And so the question becomes, are you really prepared to abstain from bathing for 6 months every time you eat beef? Chicken is about a third. So if you eat chicken, are you prepared to abstain from bathing for 2 months to offset the water? By 2040, the world will have half the water it needs. Again, United Nations statistics. We could have anywhere up to 700 million water refugees. They're anticipating anywhere between 24 and 700 million. Even take the low end, 24 million water refugees. People who are forced to leave their homes, not because of terrorism, not because of war, but because of water. Really? Am I so unable to make a decision that's not due to the call of my tongue, oh, I like it? Am I not able to make a decision for the future of our world? So, vegetarianism is a completely different subject. And should you find yourself with a spouse who's not a vegetarian, I would do everything in my power to make them one. But here's what's important, and it's something I've learned very, very slowly over the years. The way to really make someone change is not to force them into it. The way to make someone change is to create enough space in which they can change of their own accord. To hold someone's nose to the grindstone and force them to do your bidding breeds nothing but contempt. But if you can share the truth, share why you think this is important, help them understand, and then back off. Create the space. Let them change of their own accord. It may not be today. Hopefully it'll be soon. But you certainly have the right, in my opinion, to say things like, I'm not going to cook meat. I'm not going to eat meat. I'm not going to purchase meat. We absolutely have that right. And then slowly, hopefully they'll change also. But yeah, I'm all for proselytization for vegetarianism. As many as you can convert. And even if it's not 100%, if you can get people to give up meat a day a week, 2 days a week, every meal that we choose vegetarian is water that's saved, grain that's saved, carbon and methane emissions that have not gone into our environment, trees that have not been cut down. So whatever you can get people to do, God bless you for it. Last question.
My question is, how can God, who is supposed to be perfect, allows evil to exist? Or in other words, if God can abolish evil, and God really wants to do it, why there is evil in the world?
Okay. So if God is perfect, why does God allow evil to exist? And why doesn't God abolish it? Well, here's the thing. We've been given free will. Why did God give us free will? I have no idea. Does God regret that he gave us free will? Possibly. I mean, I do sometimes think if I were God, I would regret it. I certainly don't think we've made the best use of our free will. Nonetheless, we've been given it. In that free will, we make choices. And part of the package deal of free will is that God's not going to sit there pulling the strings. What we need to do, what God wants of us, is to use our free will to come back to God. Now that doesn't just mean come back to God in our mandirs or mosques or churches or synagogues or gurdwaras. It means come back to God within ourselves. Come back to the truth of who I am. Because that is the antidote to evil. Evil exists where ignorance exists. There's not an evil gene. Evil exists out of ignorance. Ignorance of who I am. Ignorance of how connected we are. Ignorance of the creation being one and being part of me. Out of that ignorance, I sin. Those acts are what we call evil. They're acts that are done out of ignorance. Now that doesn't make the acts okay by any means. The acts are evil. But the people who did the acts did them out of ignorance or sickness, one or the other. They go together frequently. the ones who are really evil, or who do the acts that are really evil, are actually very infrequently sick. Because people who are that demented, not never, we do see it happen sometimes, present times included in certain circumstances, but typically people who bring about what we call evil are actually people with great capacity for planning, for calculating, for execution. People who are absolutely nuts tend not to be able to create the type of evil we see in the world. They may become a serial murderer and kill a handful of people. But the broad scale evil that we talk about is being committed by people who actually, sadly, I would love to think that they're all just really sick, but they're actually really able to plan and calculate. But they're doing so from a place of ignorance, a place of ego, a place of fear. So God has given us that free will. And God's not going to take it away anytime soon, although I, again, certainly think that if I were in God's shoes, I would certainly take away some people's free will. But God seems committed to allowing us to make use of our free will. What that means is that those of us who are not committing evil deeds need to make even better use of our free will. How can we? They're using their free will for destruction. How can we use our free will for peace, for positivity, for preservation, for light? How can we bring light to the darkness? If they're running around turning off lights, how can we light candles? Lots of them, big ones. That's up to us. So again, what is the reason that God decided, I know I'm going to give them free will? I don't know. But we clearly have it. And clearly God is not going to jump in and say, all right, I forget it. You know, the way parents do, forget it, you've lost all your privileges, go to your room. But what God does do is come back on earth in form. This is what we're told. It's what Lord Krishna reminds us in the Bhagavad Gita. When there is darkness in the world, right? I come onto the world in form to bring light back to the darkness. And today it feels to me like the darkness is so much that instead of being just in one place, that God is filling so many people all over the world with such light and such strength and such energy and such vision to bring light. And every one of us can become that, because every one of us has God within us. So the question becomes, how can I use my free will to connect with the divinity within me such that I can be the embodiment of God on earth, bringing back light to the darkness, bringing back dharma to the adharma? How can that be me? And even if I can't bring it to the whole world, well, at least I can bring it to my world. And then we hope that lots of people sitting in lots of parts of the world have the same thought and do the same work. And if we all take care of just our world, the world will end up taking care of itself. So start with you. Because God's also in you. So when you say, why isn't God? The question to ask is, why aren't I? Because God's given that to you. Okay? Good. Have a wonderful evening. And if you're not already registered for our special Navratri spiritual retreat, as I mentioned on the Ghat, we're having this special retreat for the next 5 days. It's open to everyone. It's on a donation basis. And Lori has a copy of the schedule. There's also one posted out on the board in our reception. And if you want to stay here for it and be residential, talk to Induji here, who can help you do that. There will be an orientation for those of you who are registered or are thinking to register and just want to be oriented here at 8:30 in just half an hour. And we'd love to have you all join us, whether for all 5 days or for a day or 2 days or whatever you can join us for.